Hello, welcome back to Up the Villa. This is our opposition preview, joined again by Sam from the wonderful back of the net. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, Luke, very well, mate. Good time to be a Bournemouth fan, good time to be a Villa fan. So all smiles here.
Yeah, and whenever we play, and you guys do your vlogs and that, and you come on our channel, I know a lot of Villa fans really enjoy your thoughts and your channel as well. So Villa fans, again, go and check out their channel because it is fantastic and the content is really, really good. So Bournemouth then this season, how you feeling? We'll touch on Arsenal in a second, but how's the general season been so far?
Superb. Yeah, really good so far. Really pleased with how things have transpired. We're happy with the league position we're in. Of course, after that win against Arsenal, you're then looking back at the previous games where you should have picked up points. You think, what if? Because, we could be on the edge of the Champions League places if things went for us perfectly. But you know what? Football doesn't work like that. It's been really good. It's been exciting to watch. And that's the thing about watching Areola ball. It's always exciting. So really happy and just really optimistic about the rest of the season and just looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the game against Arsenal, and I thought you were fantastic. You were well in the game before the red anyway. It was a pretty even game before that. So touching on your form before that, it was a little bit, you'd lost to Leicester. So what's sort of not been quite right in that little bit of form before the Arsenal game?
I suppose where we wanted to take points, we probably haven't in certain games like Nottingham Forest, first game of the season. We always win there, drop points there, but really a point on your travels isn't so bad. Drawing at home at Newcastle was okay. That Everton 3-2 was an interesting one because for 86 minutes we were absolutely awful, and then we just turned it on in the last 10 to somehow overcome them. And look, we had matches against Chelsea and Liverpool. In hindsight, losing to Chelsea at home isn't so bad, but we thought there was an opportunity to get them there. We did outplay them, but just quality shone through for them. Losing Liverpool at 3-0 at their place, not so bad. The Southampton win, very good, but they are a poor side this season. The fly in the ointment for me was that Leicester game. We outplayed them, outshot them. We were all over them, but sometimes if you don't take your chances and there's not the clinicality, as we call it, then that can sometimes cost dear. And it certainly did. But then before the Leicester game, we were thinking, okay, we got Leicester and then we got Arsenal. I'll take 3 points from that. That happened, but not in the way we wanted it to. It's so weird.
No, I mean, it's a great result for you guys then, beating a team that are tipped to win the league. So how were you feeling after the game then? Because it's a massive victory. So would you say that's the biggest one you've had since you've been back you're in the Premier League?
I expect so. This is our eighth season now, seventh or eighth season. We've been in there that long. I can't remember the exact number, but I think so. We've had some big wins previously. 4-3 at home against Liverpool, winning 3-0 last season against Man United. On the surface, it looks amazing, but they are trash. They're atrocious. So really, I don't look at that as being one of our biggest ones. Under Gary O'Neill, winning 1-0 home against Liverpool was good, but I think when you're playing a team at the peak of where they're at, I think Arsenal are probably one of the highest. Of course, there's people that are keen to asterisk it by saying, yeah, but they were down to 10 men. But like you rightly said, I think we outplayed them regardless of that. And look, just because you're down to 10 men, Arsenal have had that twice already this season, not lost both of those games. Even last season, there were a couple of matches where they went down to 10 men and they won both of them as well. So I think we should give ourselves a little bit of credit, actually, for once. And it was really exciting. And 2-0 wasn't a scoreline that flattered us either. We possibly could have had more. But it was jubilant, really. And it just gives us that little bit of hope, really, because obviously playing Villa is no easy game, of course. It's always a challenge, certainly with where you're at now. Not many Bournemouth fans are expecting anything, but now we're thinking, you know what if? And then after that we got Manchester City at home, and we're not necessarily seeing that as a free hit anymore because we've shown we can actually take it to the big teams. It does require them to have a bad day, of course, but if all the stars align, we can get a team. So yeah, it gives us a bit of hope.
Yeah, I think it was a massive win. And one of my bugbears in football, and within something that's not in your team, is that, like what you said about people would probably look at it and go, yeah, but they were down to 10 men. And this whole sort of like excuse making, we get it as Villa fans. It's like, yeah, but you're not going to go far in the Premier League and Champions League. Yeah, but and it's just like, just take it for what it is. You've beat Arsenal and you played really well and you deserve to beat them. So that's not your fault that they had a player sent off. That's their fault. So you can only beat what's put in front of you. So Iraola, then, I've spoke to you before. I'm a massive fan. I'm a massive fan of what he's doing at Bournemouth. This is his second season now. So talk to me a little bit about the first and going into this one. Has there been any tactical changes? Has he tried to evolve a little bit, or is it sort of similar to what you were doing last season?
Yeah, similar to what we were doing. Obviously, it was a bit of a learning curve. The start of the season wasn't great last time round, but they were trying to play a different style of football after a season of Gary O'Neill. It was a very different approach. It's a forward-thinking approach from Iraola. Lots of overlapping runs, lots of fullbacks, getting forward, trying to win the ball back in the final third, and making sure those, if we get the ball, they turn into shots, which invariably we have done. Our stats on some of those transitions, and us actually winning the ball and trying to get a shot away is actually really good. It's right up there. It's really exciting to watch, and sometimes it's direct, sometimes it's short. I think there's a maturity about what we're doing this season as well. And I think the midfield duo of Lewis Cook and Ryan Christie, who scored a brilliant goal against Arsenal, I think they've matured into their roles now, and they know what they're doing. And I think losing Dominic Solanke, I think that naturally all the other players have tried to maybe step up, because he was pivotal to how we played. And whilst I think the profile of our replacement striker in the £40 million Evan Nielsen, £40 million and Bournemouth in the same sentence seems mad, but that's what's happening here. I think he's learning his trade. He's still not got to grips with the physicality of British football, but he is slowly getting there. But whilst that's happening, there's less of a reliance on him to fill Dom Solanke's boots. And I think everyone's, really upping their game as a result. So through the spine of the team, we seem to have some really good things at the moment. So I think, I'd like to think, unlike last time where it was a bit of a Villa whitewashing, really. I mean, I know at your place we took the lead, but really after that, I mean, it could have been 3-4-5. Thankfully, it was only 3. It was a scoreline that probably flattered us a little bit, but I think we'd like to take the game to you a little bit more, we're more defensively resilient now as well. So I think, it's just a more matured style. But that said, we have our moments, and we can really be exciting to watch. So I'm really intrigued with how this one's going to pan out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting one. That both these, they really remind me of each other. I look at it, it reminds me of a mini Unai Emery. They're both from Basque and etc. And yeah, really exciting. And I think it'll be a real tactical battle between the two on the touchline. I think it'll be intriguing to see how it plans out then. So we'll touch on sort of like your key players in a second then. But as a fan now then, dare to dream. How far are you dreaming? What are your aspirations? How far can this go?
Problem is with being Bournemouth, we are a club that obviously, everyone knows a story. It's been done to death. We come from League Two, Premier League side, punching above our weight, 11,000 seat stadium, all that kind of stuff. There is a new stadium in the pipeline eventually, but I think as a result, we're looked down on by sort of other sets of fans. And one of the things they say, yeah, but what have you won? What have you won? And I get that, because that's the first thing we would really love to do as a fan base, win a trophy. It's brilliant, of course, being in the Premier League, and for us finishing 15th, 16th, 17th, it's considered a win. But we want to do better than that. And whilst a top half finish would be great, or top of the bottom half, wherever we think we can be, I'd like to win silverware. And there would be no better place to do so than the Carabao Cup. We can't do that this season, so it's got to be the FA Cup. I think teams probably have an order of priority, and Carabao Cup's right at the bottom there. FA Cup, they put a little bit more into it. So maybe we've lost our chance this season. I don't know. But getting silverware would be huge for us. But aside from that, we're in an all right place to maybe be in the conversation for something like the Conference League. If that happens, that would be absolutely brilliant. Like I say, I think our styles matured a little bit compared to last season, and I think, we aren't making the silly mistakes so far this season. There's only one team that's resoundingly beat us, and that was Liverpool, who were absolutely on fire that day. We were awful, but we've always been in games. So if we can be in games and then grind out the results and just, stay above the points trajectory that we had last season, then who knows? We could well be in that conversation. And if we could push for, seventh or eighth or whatever it will be, I think the coefficient's doing all right for us at the moment, which may mean that there might be a window for AFC Bournemouth to get into Europe. Well, why not? That would be brilliant for a club our size. So I think that's got to be the aim. If not, a top 10 finish would be huge for us.
Yeah, no, I think it's really exciting. So touch on your key players then. I mean, you've got a lot. I really like Semenyo. I think he's fantastic. Kirkes, left back, really good. Scott in the middle, wonderful player. Like, so good. So you go through your whole team and you've got really exciting, young players about you as well. And you sold Solanke, which you're losing a lot of goals there. New striker, like you say, well, from what I've seen, looks like he's got something about him as well. So I think he's going to, grow into it. And I think Premier League, it does take a bit of adjusting. So who would you say are sort of like the key players to watch out for?
For us, well, starting with the defence, if I could just pick out Ilya Zabani or even Marcus Senesi, our central defensive partnership's really good. But Zabani, I can't see us staying with us for long. He is absolutely quality for us. And a lot of sort of Bournemouth fans talk about one of our best ever players in like Nathan Ake. He was superb for us. He's in that mould, if not better. So he'll be going for a lot of money, but he is really great at the back. Lewis Cook is a player that I just think just goes under the radar. He obviously goes under Lee Carsley's radar, probably under Thomas Tuchel. Playing for Bournemouth, it's not fashionable. No one wants to pick a Bournemouth player. As soon as Dom Solanke goes to Spurs, he gets picked. What's that all about? He's got 20 goals last season. No one recognises anyone when they're at Bournemouth. So in some ways, I feel sorry for Lewis Cook, but he's brilliant. He's a little dynamo in midfield. He's so good. Defensive midfielder, but also getting forward a lot more this season. And then, like you say, Antoine Semenyo, all of our wingers, I think. Justin Cliver is one of them, but also can play in the number 10. I think our front four is quite interesting itself because there's so much movement. Sometimes Semenyo's on the right, sometimes he's on the left, Marcus Tavernier. Sometimes he plays as the number 10, sometimes on the right. They can all switch up, and they often do that during games, which obviously must be quite confusing for a fullback. But yeah, I've got to say that Antoine Semenyo, quality for us. He's just a really dangerous player. He scored that brilliant goal against Southampton, and he got a lot of media hype. Sky Sports started to recognise him. The media fans started talking about him. Since then, he's sort of gone off the ball a little bit. Sort of believed his own hype a little bit, maybe. But you know what? Whilst he's been off the ball, other players have been on it. So he's a menace either way. And usually, whilst a lot of the kind of front four will be taken off after 60, 65 minutes, he will last the full 90 because he's that much of a threat in front of goal. So, yeah, those are a couple of names that I have to pick out.
Yeah, really good player. So, your new striker then, what's he like? I've only seen him briefly. Like, you watch him sort of week in, week out. Does he mirror Solanke, or is he a little bit different?
He's got probably a bit more physicality than him. I just don't think at the moment, from what I've seen, he's got that kind of poacher's instinct. But I'm pretty sure that'll grow. The physicality and the work and this sort of build-up play that he does. His work rate is so good. When we played Southampton, he came really deep. The ball was pumped up to him, chested it down, laid it out, and then he went on, to be part of the goal that we eventually scored with some really good movement. Won the penalty on Saturday against Arsenal, which was converted by Justin Cliver. He's got a lot about his game. It's just unfortunate that his goal tally doesn't mirror what we've seen of him so far. I think being a £40 million striker, you got that expectation from fans. You got general football fans saying, what a waste of money that is. But we've seen how he plays, and I think as Bournemouth fans, we've probably got a little bit more patience because we know how Dom Solanke started with us, and that was a slow start for him, albeit he didn't come in as the main striker. He had Callum Wilson to dislodge Josh King, so there is a bit more kind of you need to start scoring when he is our man, but when everyone else is chipping in, it doesn't matter so much. But he's been doing really well. He's not not the fastest like striker on earth, but pretty nippy, strong on the ball, and will be involved in all our attacks. So from what I've seen of him, there's some real promise.
What nationality is he?
He's Brazilian.
So there's more pressure anyway, because Brazilian
Yeah,
striker, it doesn't matter how good they are. There's a bit of pressure on a Brazilian striker. We had one before,
absolutely.
Wesley, and yeah, it didn't work out that well, and we paid a lot of money for him. So hopefully it goes a bit better than that. But he did get injured, so yeah. So thoughts on Villa then, from afar? How do you think we're doing?
I mean, if you can't enjoy this as a Villa fan, what you're like, well, football's not for you.
That's true.
It must be. It must be. I was just saying off air. This must be the most exciting team in the UK to support. Just like easily. Yeah, of course you'd be a Manchester City fan, but it ain't that fun when you're winning all the time. And also they've got the 115 charges hanging over their head at the moment. And sometimes a lot of their fans are saying that the style of football isn't overly great, even though they're grinding out results. I've watched some Villa games. They are superb to watch. It's really electric, really exciting. And what Unai Emery's doing is absolutely fantastic. And what's incredible actually is the squad depth you've got as well. That's really, really good. You're bringing on players against Bologna that were absolutely superb. And from being a team that was kind of, I don't want to say this in a disrespectful way, but relatively recently treading water in the Premier League to now doing what they're doing now is phenomenal. So that's credit to the board, credit to, of course, Unai Emery, who's just kind of ripped up the rule book and just he's instilled this belief with his players, but also with Villa fans that you're playing teams like Bayern Munich at home and half expecting to win, then you do. So it must be exciting, and they're a difficult team to dislike. I know the blue half of Birmingham find it very easy, but I think you're the media darling at the moment, and it's quite a sort of nice position to be in. So yeah, really exciting to watch, and when you're top of the Champions League, of course, there are other fixtures to come, of course, but you're in a good place, eh?
Yeah, it doesn't get much better. So, we have got a difficult game on Saturday against Bournemouth at Villa Park. What should we expect, and what are you expecting from your team?
I'm well, from the Bournemouth perspective, I mean, I'm hoping that Villa are going to have some kind of hangover or whatever, because it's been too good for too long for Aston Villa. It's like a roulette wheel, and it's been constantly landing on red or whatever. At some point, it's got to change. So the law of averages suggests that maybe you'll drop points soon. Maybe that could be this weekend. But I think like Bournemouth will take it to you. We're not a team that have got a sort of plan B that can sit back, absorb. We're not that kind of side, and that probably bodes in Villa's favour. But why would we change our philosophy for that? That's how we play. We need to play that every single game this season, so it'll be an open game. But like I say, I think we'll go for it. We started to go for it in the last game where we scored early doors, but I just feel as though some naivety kicked in, silly individual errors and stuff. But that's one thing we've seen less of this season, not as many individual errors. I think, I just expect a really intriguing game of football. One that I'm surprised it's not televised in many ways, because it would be such a good thing to watch. So much excitement, a lot of attacking football. But then, yeah, like you say, the two Basque managers coming up against each other, it's going to be a game of chess in places. But I just think it's going to be a really absorbing game. I'm just hoping that we can take it to you. But it is going to be very difficult, of course.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. The thing is, in the Premier League, every game's tough. You guys might have gone to Leicester thinking we're probably going to win that, and you end up losing, and that's just what the Premier League's like, isn't it? So, if I do look at your sort of form, like home form's very, very good, away form's not so good. Do you think you've got to? You mentioned like you play the same. Do you think you may have to sort of eventually tweak the away form, or do you think you can try and grow into the away form, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think it's something that we've got to grow into. I mean, every performance that we've had has been good away from home, but just not being clinical. When we played Liverpool and lost 3-0, I think we registered the most amount of shots that an away side did at Anfield since Everton did when they played them in 2014. We had like 19 shots, but none of them went in. They had less, and of course they scored 3, which is, just the way it goes sometimes. So I think, that probably puts a little bit of pressure on Evan Nilsson. But yeah, I don't know that, there do probably need to be some tweaks, but like these are things that will come throughout the season. But whilst we're, if like 60% of games are, providing the fruit of winning and getting points, then I don't really see that we need to tweak too much. Maybe some individual in-game tweaks, of course, but nothing drastically that we're going to carry into the kind of how we're going to start a match against, a like Southampton away or, Chelsea away, etc. I think, I think we're in a good place as a side, and Iraola knows his style. The players know it as well. And whilst you can do, like I say, little tweaks in game, I don't think there's anything drastic that needs to happen.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, it's been great having you on again and chatting to you, and hopefully we'll chat probably on the reverse fixture next time. So all the best for the rest of the season, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad you didn't ask me for a prediction. That wasn't coming, was it? Because look, if I'm being honest, I think Villa, I'm gonna take the shirt off and be a neutral. I think Villa will probably squeak it. But as long as it's a good performance, as long as we can see some good signs, I think most Bournemouth fans will be happy. But we beat Arsenal. You never know.
Yeah. The thing is, whenever I do the opposition ones, I never really ask them for a score prediction. Because if you go Bournemouth, what am I going to say? Like, okay then. I'm just like, okay. So it's just one of those, isn't it? You back your team and I'll back mine, and we'll see what happens. So thanks, mate.